In Turkey, Russian and Ukrainian delegations discussed terms of a ceasefire and a possible meeting between Presidents Putin and Zelensky. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces have killed at least 52 people in different attacks on 8 distribution centers. And Venezuela and Iran continue to strengthen bilateral relations and deepen agreements reached between both countries. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR Studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The Russian and Ukrainian delegations met again in Istanbul, Turkey, for the second round of direct peace talks amid tensions and attempts by Kiev to undermine the negotiations. The Russian delegations were led by Vladimir Medinsky, an advisor to the President Vladimir Putin, while the Ukrainian delegation was chaired by the country's Minister of Defense, Rustem Umerov. The meeting was moderated by Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, who visited both Russia and Ukraine last week to accelerate talks. In his opening remarks, Fidan thanked both parties for the constructive approach and also the U.S. government for opening a window of opportunity. After the meeting, the chief of the Russian delegation highlighted the immediate proposals Russia has brought to the table.
We have proposed a specific ceasefire for 2 to 3 days in certain areas of the front line. This will now be worked out by our military specialists and with the Ukrainians. We are unilaterally transferring to the Ukrainian side 6,000 frozen bodies of deceased Ukrainian soldiers and officers.
While leading the talks, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan stressed the importance of this step towards a lasting ceasefire.
The parties took very important steps to implement the decisions made in the first meeting. The exchange of 1,000 prisoners on each side was completed in a short time. Both sides determined their positions regarding the ceasefire and subsequent steps as promised. As agreed, they came together today to reciprocally address these positions and demonstrated their will to discuss them.
Bugünkü toplantımızda iki ülkenin ateşkese dair koşullarını ve perspektiflerini değerlendirmeye devam etmeyi hedefliyoruz.
In today's meeting, we aim to continue evaluating the conditions and perspectives of the ceasefire between the two countries. At the same time, we aim to take the process of exchanging war prisoners a step further with humanitarian considerations. We also plan to address the necessary preparations for the leaders' meeting. Regular meetings are considered valuable for establishing trust between the parties.
The European Union confirmed it is preparing countermeasures against the United States if the two sides cannot reach an understanding. The announcement comes after a surprise U.S. tariff on steel rattled global markets and hindered ongoing talks. Top officials at the European Union's Executive Commission said they are pushing hard for a trade deal with the Trump administration to avoid a 50% tariff on imported goods. Trump's announcement of increased tariffs on steel imports has rising concerns that big-ticket purchases from cars to washing machines to houses could see major price increases.
In the event that our negotiations do not lead to a balanced outcome, the EU is prepared to impose countermeasures, including in response to this latest tariff increase. I remind you that we are currently finalising consultations for an expanded list of countermeasures. If no mutually acceptable solution is reached, both the existing and possible additional EU measures will automatically take effect on July 14th or earlier if circumstances require. The Commission has been clear at all times about its readiness to act in defence of EU interest, protecting our workers, consumers and industry.
South Korea will elect a new president on June 3rd to succeed conservative Yoon Suk-yeol, who was ousted after his brief but shocking imposition of martial law. Surveys suggested liberal Lee Jae-myung, running for the Democratic Party, is heavily favored to win Tuesday's snap election, riding on a wave of public disappointment of Yoon's martial law debacle in December. The main conservative candidate, Kim Moon-soo, wants a comeback victory, but observers say his refusal to directly criticize Yoon made it difficult for him to narrow the gap with Lee. The winner will be sworn in as president on Wednesday without the typical 2-month transition period. Voting officially began on Thursday, which was the first day of a 2-day early voting period in which more than 10 million people have already voted. Local authorities in the autonomous region of Xizang in southeastern China have reported 3 fatalities due to a landslide. The accident occurred on Sunday during the excavation of a mushroom known as soft gold in Muda village, Kamdo City, leaving 7 people missing and 2 injured. Almost 500 people, including rescuers, firefighters and search dogs, are involved in the search operation, which is supported by excavators and telecommunications equipment. The Water and Natural Resources Department has indicated that the landslide displaced approximately 200,000 cubic meters of mud and rocks and has warned of the possibility of secondary landslides. The death toll in Nigeria has risen to over 200 due to heavy rains and flooding that have devastated the country in recent days. Authorities reported that at least 500 people are missing after the disaster, so they fear the death toll will continue to rise. In Mogwa, the city most affected by the rains, at least 3,000 people have been displaced as more than 250 homes were destroyed by the storm. It is expected that in the next few hours, work will begin to rescue the fatal victims who are under the rubble and to determine the exact number of deaths in the worst disaster recorded in Nigeria in the last 60 years. The Italian island of Sicily remains on alert following a new eruption of Mount Etna, Europe's most active volcano. The eruption has been characterized by intense explosions and lava flows. According to a report from the National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, part of the volcanic crater has collapsed and the resulting clouds are reaching a height of about 5 kilometers. The Volcano Observatory's aviation warning system has issued a red alert, the highest level, although the neighboring city of Catania's Vincenzo Bellini International Airport remains operational for the time being. The tremors' amplitude values are currently high and increasing, though they are confined to the volcano's summit, especially the southeast crater area at an altitude of around 1,900 meters, far from populated areas. In Ecuador, an oil spill contaminated part of a branch of the southeast estuary near the coastal city of Guayaquil, putting authorities and the Ministry of Environment, Water and Ecological Transition on alert. According to the Minister of the Environment, Maria Luisa Cruz, after learning of the oil spill in a branch of the mangrove swamp El Salado Wildlife Production Reserve, the affected area was immediately checked by means of a flyover and a river tour. The hazardous materials unit of the city's firefighters was immediately activated, and they began to search the area with a rubber boat to determine the origin of the spill. Absorbent barriers were placed along the branch to prevent further damage to the fauna and flora of the natural reserve. And now we have a short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates and more. We'll be right back, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In Palestine, Israeli occupation forces have killed at least 52 people in different attacks on 8 distribution centers run by the US-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation. In 3 separate attacks that took place between May 27th and June 2nd, Israeli occupation forces targeted crowds of Palestinians, prompting outrage from the United Nations and international humanitarian groups. The Palestinian Health Ministry said that the Israeli army is using these distribution centers to carry out mass killings and to displace Gazan residents. For its part, the humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders said that patients reported being shot at from all sides by drones, helicopters, boats, tanks, and Israeli soldiers.
My nephew went to buy his children food. He went to buy flour for his children. The Israeli army hit him and killed him. They just wanted to eat. They were starving and just wanted some bread. He went to get them bread and took a risk, and they killed him. They tell us there is aid and tell us to go and take the aid. So why do they kill them? Why? Shame on them. Find a solution. Put an end to this.
Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries denounced Israel's veto of ministerial delegations to enter the West Bank as evidence of its disregard for peace. Saudi Arabian Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan said that the Israeli cabinet's refusal to allow a delegation of Arab ministers to enter the occupied West Bank demonstrates its extremism. The Saudi leader made this statement during a joint press conference in Amman, the Jordanian capital, with his counterparts from Jordan, Egypt, and Bahrain. The delegation of Arab ministers was scheduled to meet with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Ramallah, West Bank, to express diplomatic support for the Palestinian people in the face of the brutal Israeli aggression in the Gaza Strip.
Israel's refusal to allow this committee to visit the West Bank is a manifestation and confirmation, as you mentioned, of its extremism and its rejection of any serious attempts of a diplomatic path to peace. It is clear that they only want violence, and this strengthens our resolve to redouble our diplomatic efforts in the international community to confront.
Sudan's recently appointed Prime Minister Kamel Tayyip Idris has announced the dissolution of the transitional government and has appointed the Secretaries General and Undersecretaries of the ministries to perform government functions. Tayyip Idris announced the dissolution of the government in a statement to the press. He did not indicate when the new government, the first since the outbreak of war between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in April 2023, would be formed. The Sudanese government, which is controlled by al-Burhan's military junta, has insisted that it is working on the transitional phase to hold democratic elections, draft a new constitution, and establish a civilian government that will take control of the country without interference from the army. And we have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break. We'll be right back, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. On Monday, the Venezuelan government held a bilateral meeting with Iran to strengthen bilateral relations and deepen agreements reached between both countries. National Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez hosted Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakir Kalibaf at Legislative Palace. The meeting aims at developing relations in the economic, technological, political, and cultural fields. Jorge Rodriguez expressed Venezuela's gratefulness to the Iranian people and government for always standing together with the Bolivarian Republic in its time of need. For his part, the Iranian Parliament Speaker congratulated Venezuelans for the successful electoral day in last Sunday's May 25th regional and legislative elections. Within the framework of the bilateral meeting, the President of the Iranian Parliament highlighted the victory of the Venezuelan people in the regional and legislative elections 2025.
I would like to congratulate you, Your Excellency, also the people of Venezuela for the resounding victory in the recent elections of the National Assembly, governorships, and also legislative councils. I would also like to thank you and all the deputies of the National Assembly. I would also like to thank you as a brotherly and friendly country. May these recent victories bring a new change towards the well-being of the Venezuelan people, and I am very grateful that I have been able to travel to Venezuela, just at the moment of this very important juncture in Venezuela, which is your victory in these elections.
The Mexican National Electoral Institute reported that the estimated turnout in the election of judicial authorities was around 13%. The president consular of the National Electoral Body, Guadalupe Tadei, announced on Sunday night that the estimated voter participation was calculated between 12.57 to 13.32%. She emphasized that this number was obtained from a random sample of 1,644 places throughout the country. In this way, today pointed out that the results of the district votes would be issued in the following days. These elections constitute an unprecedented event as citizens were summoned to the polls to elect 881 judicial positions at the federal level.
Based on a sample of randomly selected sectional polling places in front of notary publics, the results obtained by the specialists yielded an estimated citizen participation result of between 12.57 and 13.32% turnout.
In a message to the nation, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum described the day on which citizens were able to elect their judicial authorities for the first time as historic.
This historic election of the judiciary branch on June 1, 2025, was a success.
Cerca de 13 millones de mexicanas y mexicanos.
For the first time in history, nearly 13 million Mexicans came out to assert their right to decide who should be the new ministers, magistrates, and judges.
Vice Sheinbaum highlighted the transparency of the electoral process, which is said to democratize the judicial system.
Today, the election process was transparent. Candidates were selected by professional commissions from the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. The campaigns were simple, and voting was free. With the new judicial system, they who erased a wish will become a reality. Nothing outside the law, no one above the law.
Argentine justice suspends a decree imposed by President Javier Milei which limits the right to free protest. A judge of the Argentine Labor Court provisionally suspended the effects of Articles 2 and 3 of the Decree of Necessity and Emergency DNU against union mobilizations guaranteed by law in the Constitution. In the resolution, the judge reiterated the commitment of the labor justice to solve the injunction filed by the General Confederation of Labor. The authority also rejected the attempt of the executive power to move the case to the contentious administrative court. We stay in Argentina, where artists who carried out a symbolic embrace to the National Theatre Institute against the adjustment policy of the government of Javier Milei were repressed by the police. Theatre personnel gathered in front of the door of the National Theatre Institute, where the police brigade executed the riot protocol designed by the Security Ministry, directed by Patricia Bullrich to repress. This incident underlines the growing tension in the cultural sphere in the face of government policies and the response of the security forces to the demonstrations in the city. The Milei's government decreed on May 23rd the closure and dissolution of cultural and historical institutions as part of its policy of budget cuts and restructuring in the state.
We are here in front of the Theater Institute, rejecting the decrees of the national government of Sefeli and all his policy of dismantling culture. Here are actors from all over the city, renowned and nationally recognized, to reject these cuts from the government. The police are here, who come once again to repress. What did we say? That we are not going to be silent. The theater, the culture, the popular libraries are not silent, and we call to unite the struggles. Together with the Garahan, together with the workers of the Science Institute, together with the workers of Tierra del Fuego, of Catamarca, of the whole country, to stop this government's hand. On Wednesday, together with the retirees, we will all go to the Congress.
And like this, we have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media. We are on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.